have we known each other?
Quite a few years, I would say.
Yes,
10,
because you're
15
my
years at
mentor.
least. I don't keep track, but I know it's been a long time. I know you're on your holistic pathway doing your things where you are in Canada, and I'm doing my things over here, and I think it becomes a spiritual network, even if we're using multimedia to make that connection. I think that's fantastic because it gives
It's
people
awesome.
anywhere in the world the ability to develop their pathway with people they feel connected to, and then obviously offer a service if it's needed.
Yes, totally agree.
And, and,
Right.
and that's what we do on a continuous basis. And it changes subtly. Sometimes it changes in a different way. But I think once you start walking on a spiritual pathway, it becomes networked very much like you would do if you were in the business world. You have a network of people that you know. But the nicest thing when you work network spiritually, guides, helpers, loved ones seem to put you in the right places at the right time, so you can connect with those people and help them to see there's a very practical approach to develop the spiritual side, which could be quite daunting because all I will say, there's cowboys in every trade, and you need to find the right person to help you move forward. But
Yes,
honestly, you have to
definitely.
put the work in to get the work out. You have to, one, to understand yourself. Two, you've got to try and decide where your pathway is going to be. And three, what level of service you're going to give to other people and how much. And the how much is a very difficult pathway because if you've got partners and family in your life, sometimes it can overtake that, but they need to be aware of that, or that person needs to modify it so it doesn't dominate their life and they can still get on material. On a material pathway. I think I'm quite lucky. It's been part of my pathway for so long. So anyone who comes in adapts to the policy, and you know, I do share time with my family, but also I share a lot of time with my spiritual family, which is people I talk to over the net or on a one-to-one, developing their skill set. So it's whatever you want as an individual and whatever you want to share as an individual and the time that you give to that process, and it's up to that individual to decide how many hours they put on the clock. It's very much like an ordinary job. You know, maybe your job's 9 till 5, but I think most people's problems are 9 till 5. That's 9 in the evening till 5 in the morning. I'm not saying I take calls 8 through the night unless it's an emergency, but we do find the hours run a little bit later than you would be if you're in a conventional job. You still have to go in and earn your keep, however you do that, and then you still have to apply that time to sharing that energy with others that are on that spiritual pathway, which I think is the most important pathway to be on, no matter what we do materially. You know, whether we're successful, how we determine successful is having lots of money in the bank and lots of good holidays, or we're successful because we found ourselves in life and we have the opposite. We don't have the money we used to have, and yet we have a very fulfilled life. So it's expectations that change as we go through life.
Awesome.
Okay.
So now, Adrian,
Yes.
if you could change the world, or something that's already in the world,
Yep.
You know, what would you do?
Well, in some ways, I think we all do it by getting people to have a spiritual awareness. When you have a spiritual awareness, you bring something in called love. That's the unconditional love, hopefully for yourself to start with. Then you'll realize that it's around you with everything else. So, you know, how would we change the world? We are changing the world. Everyone is changing the world in the way we act and react. And by doing that, what happens is we influence others, sometimes not by our words, because it's your fault you employed a motor mouth on this side. It's by what's not said. Behave
Yes.
yourself. So we all change other people just by saying nothing sometimes, just by being in their presence, just by being who we are. And it's really about finding that balance in life that really is not about having great jobs and having great holidays. It's finding the balance between ourselves, the physical side, the metaphysical side, that we're not just doing the job, we become that job. We become a representation of what we're trying to change in others or show others. We don't change others, we only influence them. If they're ready to change, they will. And if it's not their bag, they won't change until something allows them to change. And that's called karma. So we come to this earth plane with our karma, our things to do list. Now out of that, we work our way through it. We think we can reject it and ignore the difficult questions like being in an exam, but you don't. It all comes back to you. You have to work through it. And once you accept that challenge, then basically you're going to move forward.
Yes. So what specific thing would you change? If you could wave a magic wand,
well,
what would be the one thing?
Okay, it's quite easy. It's creating an awareness for people either to accept or reject.
Awesome. Yeah.
That's the way to do it. How would I do more of it? I would do more of these podcasts or interviews, or get out there and if someone wants to listen, I'll do more of that. When they're recording our training sessions in our open circle every week, the files are building up. Some of it will go onto YouTube. So people sometimes find it by looking at that and thinking, well, that's okay, but that don't make sense, or to do this. And it gives people an insight and a freedom to choose whether they're going to one of the groups and thinking this is either for me or this is not for me. They can experience or develop their own sense of direction by listening to what makes sense to them. And a lot of them will make sense, but there's also a lot that won't make sense.
Wow.
Listen, I'm going to have to get you on these interviewing skills. I've had 2 wows and one else. Okay, but we'll work on that a different time. Okay. But the long and short of it, if you think about what you're doing where you are, you're developing your spiritual pathway. You're influencing other people once you've influenced yourself. And then there's 2 things that say, I think like attracts like, and also light attracts light. So the more that you become what you're trying to teach, you're happy, you're consistent, you're persistent, all those sort of things that you're positive with. People say, wow, I want to be just like her. How do I do it? Well, it starts like this, practical things, you know, relaxation, meditation, affirmations, whatever is your bag, whatever bag of tricks you provide to someone else. And if it works for them, they go forward with it. And then hopefully they do, because we're all in customer service in some particular way, they go off and teach their small group, their family, their friends, or it becomes bigger. It's as simple as that. It's spreading the word. I don't mean that as in a biblical term. It's the spiritual understandings that we miss in life. That when everything goes wrong, what do we do? And I was just speaking to someone, just going to do a wedding blessing for it in 2 weeks, and they want to go to that place, the Maldives, because what's there? It's not Las Vegas. In fact, it's Last Vegas. There's nothing there. It's, you know, beautiful. That's another film, but don't go there. There's it's a place where there's huts on stilts, beautiful still water. Yes, there are facilities there, so hot and cold running waiters, that sort of thing. You know, all the facilities, but in a more and people find themselves because they're on a remote island. Unfortunately, by the sound of it, might be sinking a little bit, but there's a little bit of paradise. But paradise is not visual, it comes from inside. And although they go into that place, it may inspire them, and they may learn to turn off a little bit and go, this is fabulous, this is what life's all about. But you have to take that illusion back and make it happen, not outside of you, it has to be inside of you. And once you find your own paradise in your own paradise island, in your heart, in your soul, then you're able to share it, and something happens in your life where people come and talk to you about their problems. You sort of give them a few signposts, they get fixed, off they go, and they're on their pathway. So do
you think it's possible, okay, so is it possible once you've awakened, once you're spiritual, is it possible to go back to the ignorance or the...
Yeah, it can be. Some people want to do it for the wrong reasons. Some people want to do it because they want to be the ego side that says, I want to be rich and famous, and earn my whole life on that.
Yes, but is that spiritual?
No. If you're spreading the awareness and there's an exchange of energies, which should be money, and it helps you reach other people, and what you say makes sense and they take it on board and they use it, fantastic. But if they do it because they want to be rich and famous and be the next spiritual leader, that's probably a failure. That's an altered ego-led thing. If you genuinely want to do it, if you need some sort of recognition, that's fine. If you don't, so be it. But it's not done for self, because you're only doing it, I'm only doing it for the better of others, not for the better of myself. You just become a facilitator.
Yes.
That's the difference. If you want to do it because not you personally, but you as whoever's out there wants to do it because they want to be the world's best spiritual icon, guru, leader, whatever they want to be, well, it's not going to work. You'll attract the wrong people to you, and it's not driven by money. It's driven by good energies. It will fail. If you do it for the right reasons and you get some element of exposure, if that's what you need, because we need that to spread the word in some ways. Forget the term spread the word, but make people a little bit more enlightened to their own spiritual pathways, then that's fine.
So how do people know that they're on the right path?
Because it makes sense, because they're drawn to these people. I've just worked with someone briefly who came to the group for the first time. That's the meditation group, and said, well, I felt connected to these people. They felt as if I've known them before, which often really means they're part of a soul group, soul energy. They're not soul mates, but they're all on the same wavelength. Let's put it that way. They're connecting to that level and going, yeah, this feels right. It's a gut feeling instinct. It's not driven by, let's tick the box. Yes, they're saying the right thing. I've got the course manual. It means nothing. It's really feeling connected by a feeling rather than connected by a logical statement. But once we feel that connection emotionally, although emotion has no logic, based on spiritual understandings, it becomes the right pathway, and you know it's the right pathway.
Okay, so are you, is a person, once they've joined in and they've got that connection, can they cut that off, or is that always a part of?
No, it's a free will. You can cut it off, but you may come back to it in another life or a later life. And there's a lot of people who experience a spiritual pathway, maybe they're younger than where they are now. And you hear people say, I wish I'd done this when I was 20 or when I was 15 or 25. Yes. You hear it all the time. But they weren't ready at that time. Mm-hmm. Because it's not based on this lifetime. It's based on all the other lifetimes they had before, which could throw a spanner in the works for those people who think they've only had one lifetime. So long and short of it, it's a spiritual instinct that comes from many lives of learning to a point where they realize that they need to return that energy in the conscious mind and properly teach it, share it, or facilitate it.
Okay. So do you see the world in a future point where we're all spiritually aware, or do you think that somewhere there was always going to be someone that's striving to find out?
I think there's always going to be an exception to the rule. There's new souls, there's old souls, there's people not had so many lifetimes, so they don't fully understand it. They may listen to us talk and think, what a load of rubbish. I'm going off down the pub, or going to go on my PlayStation, or do whatever they need to do to stimulate their mind and their soul, if they recognize they have a soul. Anyone who listens and thinks, yeah, they made some sense out of it, I think I'll go and check this out on the web, I'll do this, I'll do that, or I may go to a local group, I may go and learn yoga or Tai Chi or Falun Dafa, Falun Gong, something that gives a spiritual insight. And all of those things can lead it to a stage of awareness, an awareness of the existence of a spiritual soul, not a physical body as in such. Yes, the physical body is important. It's the one we borrow to get around in. It's the loner, and we're just getting used to it.
That's a good term.
Yeah, we may not like it, but it's there. And we may want to look like something different, but you know, that was the last one that was left in the wardrobe. It fitted, so I'll take it. All the other ones are gone, but they're there for a reason, and it's not how we look physically, it's how we are spiritually. Some of the most beautiful people in the world doesn't make them spiritual. Might make them the most vainest person in the world. Some of the ones who are not the prettiest in the world may be the most advanced souls who don't want to attract the attention for the wrong reasons. So I'm not saying you have to be ugly to be spiritual, but I'm halfway up those marks anyway, so I don't worry about it, you know? So it's not about how you look, it's how you look inside, which is how you feel inside. So if you think your future's based on your looks and you're having cosmetic surgery, then stop it unless it's something that needs to be fixed, not enhanced. Because people change their appearance because they can't accept who they are.
Yeah, does that go with my dyeing of my hair?
Listen, it's a lady thing and it's become a man thing. And that's fine. You know, we go through different images. We may have our phones and take 150 selfies and use one of them. It doesn't matter. It only matters what's in the inside. So if I meet you again over Zoom or any other sort of platform, and you're blonde or you're a different color, it makes no difference.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You'll still have the essence that you have.
Yeah. Women still want to be attractive. Men try and fail. And that's nature. That's DNA. Yeah? I'm not saying men don't look after themselves. You wouldn't want to see in my bathroom because there's several rails of different treatments, you know, different potions and potions. And at my age, I need them all.
I'm not going to edit most of this.
No, just let it run. They'll get the true essence of it. I'm quite sure it will work for someone. I think, who is this lunatic? But this lunatic loves life and loves everyone he meets. Yes, they've got their own karma. So if I don't like them because of what they've done, it's not my job to be, got the gavel out and say, you've got 4 years to do this or whatever happens to be. Karma takes care of it. And there's lots of good karma out there. You know, you talked about changing the world. There's lots of good karma that's out there now.
Yes.
But people would rather, out of fear, look at fear. Only two things in this world. I know we talked about it before. 2 words: fear, love.
Mm-hmm.
Which side of the fence do we sit on? Are we more prone to the fear side because we're worried what's going to happen tomorrow, today? Or have we got that love and that unconditional love to ourselves, that we accept ourselves? And then once we do that, we'll accept everything around us, the animal kingdom, the earth, the whole thing, and perhaps take better care of it rather than trash it.
Yes.
And I think this is a fantastic place. There's lots of places that need a little bit more TLC to it, but look at what we're trying to do now, where we realise some of the mistakes of how we've trashed the earth and clean up the oceans, and let's not have plastic carrier bags anymore. You know, if you do, it's going to pay, it's going to go to charity. Let's reduce those. We're not too late. We're still working at it, but there's still a lot more work to be done. There's a very positive note around the world. That's the way I see it. You know, we can say it's worse than it's ever been. It's not. Look at history, it could be a lot worse. Look at the old history, it could be a lot worse. You know, go back, 50, 80, 100 years, there's wars on where we are. And I know there's still places in the world that still have wars, but there's a lot of people trying to stop those wars. There's a lot of people that are trying to help those who are within the wars. And yes, there's a lot of work to be done. But if everyone starts taking responsibility, and I'm not standing on my soapbox, if we take personal responsibility to what we do in our life and how we think in our life can influence others. So the more positive thoughts we have, it will change the way we are. It will change the place we have. Yeah? Yep. So we all got that personal responsibility. Have fun with it, help others along the line, and enjoy life.
I see everything as like an energy, and it's neutral, and it's what you put into it which makes it a positive or negative experience.
Yes. If you walk around with fear, you leave the fear everywhere. It's like coming in someone's room, throwing paint all over it and say, oh, what have you done? But energy-wise, you do it. But other people come in and they throw so much light into a place and they influence other people and they think, wow, I want some of that because that's where my heart needs to be. That's where my soul needs to be. And people just want to be accepted. You accept someone, send them the good energy, send them healing, whatever you want to send them. Send them a check if you like, but I don't mind. But really make it worth their time, and they'll feel loved and accepted, and they'll want to return that to other people. Some people don't get the best starts in life, and they need a lot of love to get them on the right pathway, to realise that whatever they're doing wasn't right. It's what they learned. It was learned behaviour. Some of it was DNA. But we've all got our different sets of karma to work through. We've got our own little challenges, and we work through it. It's always there. You always get help. There's that background process that runs. There is guidance there if you want it. Call it the universe. Some of our biggest spiritual teachers who are on the net at the moment always say, speak to the universe. And there's one particular gentleman I was asked to follow a few years ago by one of my daughters, Gary Vaynerchuk, an entrepreneur, businessman on that. And the instinct, I felt he would change. I could see the way he was going to change. And one day, maybe 3 or 4 years, I would like to interview him. I don't want to interview him yet because the change is not there. But I see a change in what he does. He talks about helping people more in a different way. Yes, on a business sense, but also now on a more spiritual sense. I'm thinking, I knew it was coming. I could see it coming. I could see that soul growing. And good luck to him. And all those others who are that, Tony Robbins, all the other ones who are making a difference. The people out there like the Dalai Lama, who has an influence over people. I mean, I've been lucky I didn't get close to him. I missed his visit by 2 days in India, but I did, be around his translator, and that was a wonderful experience. So there's wonderful people out there, not because they got titles, but because who they are. Not because of the jobs they hold, but with the position they hold spiritually. And that's a big difference. You know, being a CEO of a company doesn't make someone spiritual. They've got a job to do, and they're either going to do it right or do it wrong, treat people nice or treat them wrong. But some of the most spiritual people with the highest energies don't hold high positions, as in, you know, directors of companies and bits and pieces. There are some out there. Tony Robbins would be one of them out there that does that sort of thing, you know, feeds so many thousand Americans every year and probably every day with what he does. And he encourages other people because his business acumen is phenomenal. And there's many others like that. So there's people out there doing the good work now.
So if you're spiritual or not spiritual and you want to find out what your purpose is,
yeah,
is that something that they can connect with you and you can contact head office, so to speak, and talk to them about it?
Yeah, but first of all, really, there's lots of people out, there's lots of facilitators out there, I'll call it. First of all, they need to connect to themselves and be honest with themselves. Accept where they've been, what they've done, accept that they got a choice to go forward and open up their heart a little bit more. You know, if they've not been kind to everyone around, well, it's a time to be that. Be kind to themselves first, give them the space. Go to a local, if meditation doesn't work, go to somewhere that's doing yoga or something like that, or Tai Chi, or a Falun Dafa, or Falun Gong, you know, all those sort of things that teach you a discipline, but not a hard discipline, a soft discipline of coming to terms of balance and working with yourself and being happy. So I think those opportunities are there for those who want it. Those who don't want it, well, that's still fine.
Yeah, but do you offer that service?
Of course.
Okay.
And sometimes it's a quick fix. If that person's recognized, the person that I've just seen is going through some traumatic changes in their life. I think it's part of their karmic pathway. I've had a wonderful discussion with them. They're going through some bereavement at the moment, so they have to deal with that first. But if you can be there for that person, even if it's a kind word, a hug, or a text when they're not feeling too good, or a text when they are feeling good. And that's up to you how much service you offer to them.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I'm just part of the system somewhere along the line. I'm just a facilitator. I'm a cog in the works for a higher source. I just get on and do my job. There's nothing special what I do. I learned it since I was about 22. Dare I say I'm 60 now. That's fine. I'm still cracking it. I'm still learning. I'm still seeing people. That spiritual network is running. Yes, it's opened up by social media, or by a website, or a phone call, or by a recommendation. It doesn't really matter. It's there. And you do the same with your side, and there's anyone else who's in a similar field is doing the same. They get on and do the job. They offer that, and the reward is someone else moves forward.
Yes.
Yeah. And that's almost like a karmic reward. That's a good feeling. And I don't mean a smug feeling. I mean a good feeling. It's going, yeah, I can see them doing it. I know they can do it. And if you run your life like that, yes, some good things will come your way. Yes, we all have challenges and we have to deal with them. But we can.
But the challenges are an opportunity for growth, though.
Yes, absolutely. I see that all the time. And it's never too late to grow. So if you're over 50, you can still grow. If you're like me, you're over 60, you can still grow. If you're 15, you can still grow. So, you know, the opportunities for anyone who comes to that realization, who wants to feel better in their life. And I feel, when I say feel better in their life, not because they've got the flashiest car and all the bits and pieces and all the rest and all the fancy trimmings that go with it. That doesn't make people happy. It gives them pleasure, but they still look for something that rocks their boat, that makes them feel a little special. Yeah, they could end up putting, you know, having a lot of people around them because perhaps they're well off financially and have lots of people around them who pay them respect because they've got money or want some of their money, who knows? But it's not a true respect. A true respect, someone wants to be with someone not because what they can give, by more what they can, you know, they can get sometimes. It's just having that balance.
Yes.
You know, energy, you know, money is great if you use it for the right things. Some of the, you know, some of the Microsoft people, without mentioning names, who are worth millions and millions, if not billions, have given millions and millions to charity. Mm-hmm. You know, made their life, they've made their fortune, and yet they still find time to fund charities and stuff like that. And why shouldn't they have what they've worked for? And if it's meant to be this lifetime, they're worth billions, that's fine. They don't take it to head office. It goes to someone else, the taxman or whoever it happens to be.
Yeah.
So yeah, the opportunity there for everyone in every walk of life. And the nicest thing about the internet, or whether it's on Instagram or FaceTime or whatever platform you're making connections with people, I made some amazing connections around the world with people who are doing something similar, or some people in South Africa or Africa, actually not so much South Africa, who are struggling with different things, or are trying to bring support to others who haven't got a lot of money. And it's so nice to try and reach out to those people.
The connection.
So, yeah, absolutely. And I think, use multimedia correct, social media, however you want to call it. You can make some wonderful friends around the world, and still make friends here. So don't live off of your PC, get off of your PC. But sometimes, like now, we've known each other for quite a few years. We're still friends after all that time, and you can still make those connections. And that's important, because you'll make those connections on a physical level and also on a metaphysical level. So the opportunity is there for everyone that wants to make it move forward. If they've got a question, send me an email. I will do my best to help and return the answer if they need it. Everyone will get a return if that's what they want. If they don't, that's fine.
Okay.
Yeah. We're all service providers. We're all facilitators.
Yes. Well, that's amazing. Drink your coffee.
Well, it's Earl Grey tea, but don't tell no one. But thank you. Yes.
Yeah. Well, you're 8 hours ahead of me, so I'm still on coffee.
Oh, okay, that's fine. Yeah, I started with coffee this morning, and you see, I enjoy everything I do. I love doing this work. It makes my day. I don't earn all my keep on it. I have to sit behind tills for a few hours each week. I end up doing domestic cleaning for some people. I do DIY. I do all sorts of things so I can do this sort of work. Mm. Everything I do, I like to sit on my little rocking seat and just do this all day. But I have to go out and earn my keep and be human. And I love it, because I'm mixing with people, all sorts of different levels. Some people don't appreciate it. If you're working in retail or working retail, they treat you like muck sometimes. But hey, that's your karma, not mine. And some of them are wonderful.
Yeah. I think the universe sends you people to test you sometimes.
Yes. Sometimes it's love, light, and good night. It depends how it works with it. And for me, I'm the happiest person with what I do. I mix and match what I do all the way through. I used to be in corporate IT, in consultancy, computers, data networks, all those sort of things. I love that side of it. And if I wasn't doing the spiritual work, I'd go back there tomorrow, because I love the technology and all that. But I do incorporate it in what I do sometimes. My job as an ordained minister makes my life even easier. I have meetings over a multimedia platform, so I don't have to pull people together. I have 4 little faces that pop up on the screen. They get all their project listings come through to them, and it's fantastic. It makes my job easier. So if you can use the facilities, do. And if not, well, you're going to have to sit eye to eye. And we do still sit eye to eye with people, but I embrace the technology as it goes forward.
It's a tool.
Yeah, absolutely, for making the job easier, and you reach more people. And maybe with what we're doing, we're reaching more people just by having this little chat today, and it make people think, yes, if those 2 people will be happy doing what they're doing, then maybe I could do the same. Take a chance in life, and sometimes find a direction in life that makes it work. My life is not the same customer service base I had 15, 20 years ago, 25 years ago, maybe, in IT, but now I've got a different customer base, and they're demanding in a different way, but they're more searching in a different way, and in most cases they're more loving in a different way. There is exceptions to the rule, but we don't worry about those. That's their karma, that's their problem. Yeah, we're facing it. Yeah. So life is good no matter what you do with it, and it's not about how much you earn, it's about how much you give yourself to your belief system. And if your belief system is walking on a spiritual pathway, helping yourself first. You must definitely help yourself first, and then go and help others if they want it. And you'll find that people will come and knock on your door, so to speak, email you, drop you a line, and the spiritual network puts you in places where you need to be to help those people. And that's why I love working for head office. People say, who do you work for, Adrian? I say, head office. And they look at me a bit quizzically. I know what you mean now. So there you are. Go and work for head office and life will be sweet. And your challenges will be more acceptable and you'll deal with them in a better way.
Oh, yes, definitely. Yeah.
There you go. That's it in a
Thank you.
nutshell.
Yeah.
I hope I haven't overrun my time.
No. Time is irrelevant.
Well, it could be listening to me. You could be there for days. But it's been fun. Do you have any other questions for me? Not really? Well, so what we'll do, you can stop your recording where you are now, as in such, because I think it will still hold the screens live. Can you do that?
No, you have to do that.
I thought you've got it. You called me.
No, you called me because you had to do it.
No, I thought you called me back. Do I? All right, let's go recording. I'll press stop.
I'm just sitting here. I got time. It's clear to see from up here. The world seems small.